What's up, Kingdom Builder? Welcome back to this Bible study. We're going to be cracking open a 5-part series talking about how to 10x your business results with less hustle, but God's way. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, like this, subscribe to my YouTube. If you're not already, I'm going to be putting all the replays there. And let's dive right in. Day number 1, we're going to unpack a story about the greatest entrepreneur in the world, Jesus himself. All right, I'm out here in San Diego. Nice to meet you. If you haven't followed yet, be sure to follow as well too. But there's a lot of great entrepreneurs in the world. And when I say entrepreneur, someone that took an idea and was able to create something. Elon Musk, I think modern day, he's like the modern day's Tony Stark, right? You think about Steve Jobs, who passed, but great entrepreneur. And I wonder, fill in the blank, who would you consider to be a great entrepreneur? Comment below on that. I believe in history, there's been a lot of great entrepreneurs, but the greatest one of them all was a guy from Nazareth. Whether you believe in who he said he was or not, facts are facts. Here was a guy that was born into basically nothing and lived for 33 years, was able to work for 3.5 years, had a ragtag bunch of people that were his first crew, his first team, his first disciples. And when he passed away, the church kept on growing. To this day, I believe the current count is 2,000 plus years later, 2.8 billion people are in the organization that he started over 2,000 years ago. Now, I'm about you, but if I'm an entrepreneur, I'll take a fraction of that success. I'm glad that you're liking what I'm saying, Lisa, right? Like, put a 1 in the comments if that sounds like great success for you. Like a little bit of an ounce of that, a little piece of that. And there's secrets that are in here. And I believe if we unpack what Jesus did, remember, Jesus was God, is God, but he also lived a life where he emptied himself of that opportunity. He emptied himself of these like advantages. Like he could come down and he could command a bunch of angels to do his bidding, but he lived humbly like us. And he showed a life that was powerful. In fact, let me give you a couple of scriptures here as we go through this. Luke chapter 5, verse 3, Jesus just finished his fast. By the way, as you're hearing this live or on replay, we just finished a 7-day fast, which was awesome. So I'm feeling super pumped, super invigorated, very full of the Spirit. It's been a lot of fun. And if you were part of that challenge with me, put a 7 in the comments. That was awesome. So much fun, so much breakthrough that was going on. So Jesus just went through his 40 days of fasting and prayer. He was tempted. He won the battle. And he comes out and he does his public ministry, right? Pam, that was so awesome. What did I eat first? I had some bone broth. So much fun. Awesome. Great that you were there with us, Diane. Awesome. So Luke chapter 5, verse 3. Okay. He's starting to pull out his disciples. He got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, and asked him to put out a little distance from the land. He sat down, continued his teaching from the crowd of the boat. Now, when he had finished speaking, he, Jesus, said to Simon, Peter, put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch. So you know this story if you know the Bible at all. Simon responded and said, Master, we had worked hard all night and caught nothing. Now, Peter was a fisherman. And as an entrepreneur, that's his business. This is an interesting business secret on how Jesus worked. So in business, what happens is we typically, the average entrepreneur, what we do is we look at the seen realm. We look at our bank accounts. We look at our current prospect list. We look at our current sales volume. We look at what's going on in our day-to-day. We look at our limitations and our circumstances. And what we do is we make judgments off of what we think is possible based on what we see. But Kingdom Builder, don't we know that the things that are unseen are more real than the seen? The things of the Spirit are more real than the things of the flesh. So here's Peter. He's looking at things of the flesh. He's like, Lord, Jesus, here is what I see. I've been fishing all day and we caught nothing. All night and we caught nothing. Have you ever been in a place in your business where you felt like you were fishing all day and you caught nothing? Put a me below if that's ever happened. You've been doing you've been doing your prospecting, you've been doing your social media posts, you've been doing your deals, and it's like things aren't happening. Well, what's one thing that Jesus shows us here is very evident. He does things in a different way. So what does he do? Okay, well, you go in the story. Simon Peter, he's like, all right, well, let me just try this thing out. It didn't work for me, but I guess if you say so. Master, we worked hard all night, caught nothing. But I will do as you say and let down the nets. When they had done this, they caught a great quantity of fish, and their nets began to tear. And there's even more. All right, who here would like an overflow of abundance in your business, right? So they signaled to their partners in the other boats to come and help them, and they came and helped fill the boat to the point that they were still sinking. What? Okay, so there's an interesting illustration that Jesus showcased a different way of doing life, of doing business, which was able to contradict what common intuition and thought would have. One thing I'll submit to you is that if you want a massive breakthrough in your business, if you want to be able to 10x your results with less hustle and do it like how God did, then we have to train ourselves to not see things like how we typically see things. We have to disconnect our vision from what it is we see in the physical reality of things. Now, let me give a couple of others. So you might be thinking, well, that's just Jesus, right? Jesus is like the perfect child. He's like the perfect brother. He's like the perfect sibling, and he ain't ever do anything wrong. Maybe he's unrelatable. I think he's the most relatable person in the world because he went through everything that we went through. But I get it. So let me submit to you two other people that also followed his example that were able to produce massive results where they couldn't before. How about Peter? Here's the same Peter that you heard that was just in the boat. Peter, if you follow his story as Jesus was in his public ministry, was an interesting one. I relate a lot to Peter. In fact, do you have someone in the Bible, if you're a student in the Bible, do you have anyone in the Bible that you relate with a lot? Comment below on a character. Maybe you're like a Mary. Maybe you're like a Martha. Maybe you're like a John. I think I'm like a Peter. And I feel like a Peter because Peter was the type of person that he would shoot and then ready, aim, right? Like he would just do things without any thought. One time he's up, another time he's down. One time he's walking on water, the right other second he like drowns, One time he has great revelation, right afterwards Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan," right? The same Peter. What happens is in the book of Acts does an incredible miracle. He gets filled with the Holy Spirit. He does his first sermon. And now with this sermon, I won't go through it. You can read it for yourself. But he goes through this incredible, whole summary of the Bible that leads up to his testimony about Jesus himself. And it says here, Acts chapter 2, verse 41. And just a couple chapters ago, he had just denied Jesus a couple times. A couple chapters later, did things God's way. This is what Acts chapter 2, verse 41 says. So then, those who had received his word were baptized, and that day there were added about 3,000 souls. So he did a presentation, 3,000 people signed up. Can you imagine in your business, you had 3,000 people sign up in your business? Would that change the game? So it's very evident that there's a way that God did things. There's a way that we can do things by his example where we can get way better results with less hustle. Now, I say less hustle. Why? We live in a day and age now where it is sexy to grind. It is almost adored on your work ethic. How many hours can you work every single day? How less hours can you sleep? How many jobs can you have? How much can you do in one day? And that has led to a very unhealthy culture. Now, if you take a look at Jesus, Jesus did a lot. I'm sure we can agree, right? 3.5 years, he did a lot on this earth. But never once have I found, and let me know if you found any instances, never once in the Bible have I ever found that Jesus was said to have ran anywhere, to have jogged anywhere, to have even fast walked anywhere. He never even skipped anywhere. Jesus rested. Jesus partied. You know, it's okay to party. Jesus feasted. Jesus took naps. Remember on the boat? There was a certain pace of grace with him, and yet he was still hyper productive. So I believe there's a way to have amazing results, but also to do it where you have a restful, peaceful life. And you could, if you do it his way. One final story, one final example. Perhaps the greatest Christian that has ever lived is Paul. The same guy that was Saul. Saul, who was a persecutor of the early church, became the greatest Christian. He wrote, I think, a third of the New Testament letters, the New Testament Bible itself, and he planted a bunch of churches. And even Paul gives his secret. And we're going to unpack these in the next couple of days. What did Paul do? Paul says this in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 3. I also with you in weakness and fear and in great trembling. And my message and my preaching, get this, were not in persuasive words of wisdom. Here was his secret. You see, the world says, be smart, be intelligent, get more skills, be more talented. The more knowledge you can gain, the more success you can have. But here's what Paul said his secret was. But in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, so that your faith would not rest on the wisdom of mankind, but on the power of God. Interesting. Paul, the greatest Christian, while he was very intelligent, he was a very strong student of the word, he said that his secret was doing things a certain way. It was the same way that Peter did it, which led to 3,000 people coming into the church in one presentation. It was also the same way that Jesus did his ministry that led it to become so productive. And my question to us today, as we unpack this, and thank you for the compliment, is who here, if you could learn the secrets of what these great men did to 10x their business results, to 10x the results of less hustle in a certain way, who here would like to learn that? Comment 10x below if that sounds interesting, because we're going to unpack that in this 5-part series here. It's going to be great. So if you are interested in that, be sure to subscribe, like this, come on to the next days as well too. Every day we're going to unpack piece by piece exactly what this is. It's going to be awesome. All right. And by the way, as well too, I opened up at the end. If this type of stuff fascinates you, you're a current entrepreneur, and you're somebody that really wants to make a 6-figure, 7-figure plus income, I'm actually opening up a limited time slot this week of a mastermind group called the Kingdom Builders Academy. We dive deep into these principles, and we're going to show you how to scale your business to 6-7 figures plus, how to do it God's way, to do it with less hustle, but be more productive with the ultimate goal of glorifying God. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're kickstarting it this Friday. If that's something of interest at all to you, comment the word kingdom or shoot me a message and I can give you some more information on that. All right. But other than that, next days, I can't wait to unpack more with you. To God be the glory, and God bless you for being here with us. It's going to be amazing. Other than that, we'll talk to you soon, Kingdom Builder. Have a great day.